All right, so you're prepping for a history lecturer interview.
Definitely a cool gig.
And we're diving into RoleCatcher's guides.
Yeah, to help you totally ace it.
Think of this as your secret weapon.
Absolutely, with insights straight from the source on what hiring committees are really looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating how RoleCatcher provides a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
We've got their career guide, their interview guide, and even information on how their AI can help you tailor your application to specific jobs.
Okay, let's jump right in.
Okay.
Before we tackle those interview questions.
Yeah.
Let's get a handle on what a history lecturer actually does, according to RoleCatcher.
They emphasize that it's so much more than just lecturing.
Right.
You're not just standing at a podium reciting dates.
Right.
You're shaping how students understand the past.
Okay. So it's about being a guide and mentor, helping students develop critical thinking skills and make those connections across time periods. Okay.
You're designing courses,
Right.
leading discussions, and even doing your own historical research,
Okay.
all while guiding university students.
It's like being a historical detective and a coach,
Yeah.
all rolled into one.
All in one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about how RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your application.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Imagine having an AI analyze the job description and pinpoint the exact skills you should emphasize in your CV and cover letter.
Right.
RoleCatcher's AI does just that, helping you make the strongest possible impression.
That's like having a personalized cheat sheet.
It is.
For each job you apply for. Okay, now before we get into the nitty-gritty of interview questions, RoleCatcher's Career Guide also highlights some
public history. These fields are transforming how we study and share history. So it's worth understanding how they might influence your teaching or research.
So, for example, if a university is looking for someone to teach a digital history course, you could talk about your experience creating online exhibits or using digital archives in your research.
Exactly.
Right.
It shows you're not just knowledgeable, but also forward-thinking and adaptable to the changing landscape of the field.
Another trend RoleCatcher highlights is the growing emphasis on global history.
It's not just about individual nations anymore. It's about those connections across cultures and continents. This is especially relevant for a history lecturer role, as universities are looking for scholars who can teach courses with a global perspective.
Okay, so let's say you're applying for a position that involves teaching world history. You could talk about your research on cross-cultural exchange. Or your experience studying abroad.
Exactly.
It demonstrates that you can think beyond geographical boundaries and connect historical events across different regions.
Now, are you ready to dive into those interview questions?
Absolutely. Let's tackle some common ones head on.
Okay.
Starting with, what inspired you to become a history lecturer?
This is your chance to showcase your passion for history and teaching. They want to understand what drives you, what makes you tick as a historian.
So it's not just about reciting your resume.
No.
It's about telling your story. What were those pivotal moments that sparked your interest in history?
Exactly. Maybe it was a specific book, a teacher who inspired you, or a historical event that resonated deeply. Whatever it is, connect that experience to your desire to teach at the university level.
So instead of saying, I've always loved history, you could say something like, as a kid, I was fascinated by ancient Egypt. Reading about the pharaohs and pyramids sparked a lifelong curiosity about the past. And now I want to share that excitement with students.
That's a great example. Is personal engaging and shows your genuine enthusiasm. And remember, be prepared for follow-up questions. They might ask you to elaborate on a specific experience. Or how your research interests connect to your teaching.
All right, let's move on to another common question. How do you keep up to date with new research and developments in your field?
This one's all about demonstrating your commitment to continuous learning. History is not static.
Right.
It's constantly evolving. As new discoveries are made and interpretations are challenged, they want to see that you're an active participant in that scholarly conversation.
So it's not enough to say, I read books.
Right.
You need to show that you're plugged into the academic community.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mention specific journals you follow, conferences you attend, or even online forums where historians discuss their research.
For example, you could say, I subscribe to the Journal of American History and the American Historical Review.
Okay.
I also regularly attend the American Historical Association's annual meeting to stay informed about the latest scholarship.
Perfect.
Okay.
It shows that you're not just passively absorbing information, but actively seeking out new knowledge and engaging with your peers.
Now, for a question that can be a little tricky, how do you engage students who may not be interested in history?
This one is all about showcasing your pedagogical flexibility.
Okay.
Interviewers want to see that you have creative strategies to make history relevant and engaging for all students, even those who might not initially be drawn to the subject.
So it's about being more than just a lecturer.
Yeah.
It's about being a storyteller, a guide who can spark that curiosity and make the past come alive.
Exactly. Talk about how you use primary sources, multimedia, or current events to make history relatable.
For instance, if you're teaching about the Civil War, you can say, I try to connect the past to the present by showing how debates about states' rights and federal power are still relevant today.
Okay.
I also use primary sources like letters from soldiers to give students a personal glimpse into the human side of history.
That's a great approach.
Okay.
It shows you're not just teaching facts and dates, but helping students understand the complexities of history and its relevance to their own lives.
Okay.
They might follow up by asking about specific teaching techniques you use or how you assess student learning.
Okay, here's another one that often comes up. How do you incorporate diversity and inclusivity into your teaching?
This question is about demonstrating your awareness of the importance of representing diverse voices and perspectives in the study of history.
Okay.
Interviewers want to see that you're committed to creating a learning environment where all students feel seen, heard, and valued.
So it's not just about mentioning different cultures or time periods.
Right.
It's about weaving those diverse narratives into the very fabric of your teaching.
Exactly. Talk about how you incorporate sources from marginalized communities, how you challenge dominant narratives, and how you create space for diverse viewpoints in class discussions.
For example, you could say, in my U.S. History Survey course, I go beyond the traditional focus on European colonization and include perspectives from Native African American and Latinx communities.
Okay.
I also encourage students to consider how gender, class, and sexuality have shaped historical events.
That's a powerful way to demonstrate your commitment to inclusivity.
Okay.
They might follow up by asking about specific course materials you use.
Okay.
Or how you facilitate discussions about sensitive topics.
Okay, let's tackle a question that's central to the historian's craft.
Right.
How do you balance teaching historical facts with critical analysis and interpretation?
They're looking for your understanding that history isn't just about memorizing dates and names.
Right.
It's about analyzing evidence, interpreting sources, and understanding the complexities of the past.
So it's about teaching students to think like historians.
Exactly.
Oh, how do you guide them in that process?
Talk about how you present different perspectives, encourage students to question sources, and help them develop their own interpretations based on evidence.
For instance, you could say, I might present two conflicting accounts of a historical event and ask students to analyze the biases of each source and draw their own conclusions about what happened.
Okay.
I want them to understand that history is not just about finding the right answer, but about wrestling with complex questions and ambiguities.
That's a great way to show your commitment to critical thinking. They might follow up by asking about specific teaching methods you use to facilitate these discussions.
All right, let's move on to a question that's becoming increasingly important.
Okay.
In today's academic landscape, how do you incorporate technology into your teaching?
They're looking for evidence that you're tech savvy.
Okay.
And able to leverage digital tools to enhance the learning experience.
So it's not just about using PowerPoint or showing documentaries.
Right.
It's about finding innovative ways to integrate technology into the curriculum.
Precisely.
Okay.
Talk about how you use interactive maps, timelines, online databases, or even virtual reality experiences to bring history to life.
For example, you could say, I use online archives to help students access primary sources and conduct their own research.
Okay.
I also incorporate digital mapping tools to visualize historical events and patterns. It helps them understand the spatial dimension of history and see connections across time and place.
That's a great way to demonstrate your ability to use technology effectively.
Okay.
They might follow up by asking about specific software or platforms you use.
Okay.
Or how you assess student learning in a technology-rich environment.
Okay, let's tackle another challenging question.
Okay.
How do you approach teaching controversial historical events or topics?
This is a really important one.
Okay.
They want to see that you can handle sensitive topics with nuance, objectivity, and a commitment to fostering respectful dialogue.
So it's about creating a safe and inclusive space for students to grapple with complex issues.
Exactly.
Even when those issues are uncomfortable or challenging.
Precisely.
Okay.
Talk about how you set ground rules for respectful discussion. Present diverse perspectives and guide students to think critically about historical evidence.
For instance, if you're teaching about slavery, you could say, I start by acknowledging that this is a painful and complex topic.
Okay.
I provide historical context, present diverse perspectives from both enslaved people and slaveholders, and encourage students to analyze primary sources and grapple with the ethical complexities of the past.
That's an excellent approach.
Okay.
It shows you're not shying away from difficult conversations, but approaching them thoughtfully and sensitively. They might follow up by asking about specific strategies for managing classroom discussions or addressing student resistance to certain topics.
Right. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about assessment.
Okay.
How do you evaluate students' understanding of historical concepts and events?
This is about demonstrating your ability to go beyond traditional testing methods
and
use a variety of assessments to gauge student learning.
So it's about showing that you understand assessment as a tool for learning, not just a way to assign grades.
Exactly.
Okay.
Talk about how you use essays, presentations, projects, or even in-class debates to assess student understanding.
For example, you could say, I use a variety of assessment methods, including essays, research papers, and class presentations to allow students to demonstrate their knowledge and skills in different ways. I also believe in providing regular feedback throughout the semester so students can track their progress and make adjustments to their learning.
That's a great example.
Okay.
It shows you're a thoughtful and adaptable educator who uses assessment to support student learning and growth.
Right.
They might follow up by asking about specific grading rubrics you use.
Okay.
Or how you provide feedback to students.
Okay, let's tackle a question that explores your ability to connect history to other fields of study. How do you incorporate interdisciplinary learning into your history courses?
They're looking for evidence that you can think beyond traditional disciplinary boundaries and help students see how history intersects with other fields, like literature, art science, or politics.
So it's about showing that you're not just a historian, but a scholar who understands the interconnectedness of knowledge.
Exactly.
Okay.
Talk about how you've collaborated with professors from other departments, designed assignments that require students to use skills from other disciplines, or simply highlighted connections between history and other fields during your lectures.
For example, you could say, in my course on the history of medicine, I invite guest speakers from the biology department to discuss the scientific advancements that have shaped medical practice.
Okay.
I also assign readings from literature and film to help students understand the social and cultural context of health and illness.
That's a great example.
Okay.
It shows you're committed to interdisciplinary learning and able to create a richer, more holistic learning experience for students.
Right.
They might follow up by asking about specific examples of interdisciplinary projects or how you assess student learning in an interdisciplinary context.
Now let's move on to a question that focuses on your role beyond the classroom. How do you approach mentoring and advising students outside of the classroom?
This is about demonstrating your commitment to student success.
Okay.
And your willingness to go above and beyond to support their academic and professional goals.
Well, it's about building those relationships and being a resource for students beyond the confines of the classroom.
Exactly. Talk about how you hold regular office hours. Serve as a faculty advisor for student clubs or organizations.
Right.
Write letters of recommendation. Or simply make yourself available to students who need guidance or support.
For instance, you could say, I hold regular office hours where students can come to discuss their coursework, research projects, or career aspirations.
Okay.
I'm also actively involved in the History Club and enjoy mentoring students as they plan events and pursue their intellectual interests.
That's an excellent response.
Okay.
It shows you're invested in student success and willing to go the extra mile to support them.
Right.
They might follow up by asking about specific examples of mentoring relationships you've had or challenges you've faced in advising students.
Okay, let's tackle a question that often comes up toward the end of an interview.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for us?
This is your chance to turn the tables
and
show that you're genuinely interested in the position and the institution.
It's also an opportunity to gather information that can help you decide if this is the right fit for you.
Exactly. Before the interview, prepare a list of thoughtful questions that go beyond the basics.
Right.
Ask about the department's culture, the opportunities for research and professional development, the student body, or the university's strategic goals.
For instance, you could ask, what are the department's priorities for the next 5 years?
Right.
Or what are the opportunities for collaboration with other departments or research centers?
Those are great examples.
Okay.
They show that you're engaged, curious, and invested in finding the right fit.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Diving deep into those common interview questions and exploring how RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your application. But before we wrap up this part, let's take a step back and consider a question that often trips people up. Tell us about a time you failed.
It's fascinating how they're not looking for perfection.
Right.
They want to see how you handle setbacks, learn from your mistakes, and adapt your approach.
So it's less about the failure itself.
Yeah.
And more about your resilience and growth mindset. How do you pick the right example and frame it effectively?
Choose a specific example where you faced a challenge, maybe a lesson that didn't go as planned, or a research project that hit a roadblock.
Right.
Be honest about what happened, but then pivot to what you learned from the experience.
So it's about turning that setback into a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
What questions should I be asking myself to really get to the heart of the lesson?
Think about what you discovered through the experience.
Okay.
Did you uncover a new teaching strategy? Did you gain a deeper understanding of a historical concept? Did you refine your research methods?
Okay.
The key is to show that you're able to turn setbacks into opportunities for growth.
And it's not enough to just say, I learned from my mistakes.
You got to connect that to action.
Right. We have to connect that to action.
Absolutely. Emphasize how you applied those lessons learned to future endeavors.
Okay.
Did you modify your teaching approach?
Right.
Did you seek out mentorship or collaboration? The interviewer wants to see that you're not just reflecting on your failures.
Okay.
You're actively using them to improve.
So a strong response might sound something like this.
Yeah.
In one of my early courses, I tried to incorporate a complex simulation that I thought would be really engaging for students. However, it ended up being too confusing and time-consuming, and the students didn't get much out of it.
Okay.
I realized that I hadn't adequately prepared them for the activity or explained the learning objectives clearly enough. Since then, I've been much more intentional about breaking down complex activities into smaller steps and providing clear instructions and guidance. I've also learned the importance of getting feedback from students throughout the process to ensure that they're understanding the material and engaged in the activity.
That's a fantastic example. You've shown self-awareness, a willingness to learn from mistakes, and a commitment to continuous improvement. They might follow up by asking how you've incorporated student feedback into your teaching, or what strategies you use to ensure your lessons are engaging and effective.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to a question that's all about your vision for the future.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
This is where you get to paint a picture of your future. as a history lecturer.
Okay.
It's an opportunity to show your ambition, your commitment to the field, and your alignment with the institution's goals.
So it's not just about personal aspirations,
right,
but also about how those aspirations connect to the bigger picture of the department and the university.
Precisely.
Okay.
Talk about your research aspirations. Do you want to publish a book?
Okay.
Secure grants to fund your research? Present your work at international conferences?
Right.
How does your research align with the department's strengths and research priorities?
And what about your teaching goals? Do you want to develop new courses, mentor graduate students, become involved in faculty governance?
Exactly.
Okay.
The key is to show that you have a clear sense of direction and that your goals are aligned with the values and mission of the institution.
So a strong response might involve saying something like this. In 5 years, I see myself as an established scholar and teacher at this university, actively contributing to the department's research and teaching missions.
Okay.
I plan to have published several articles and presented my work at national conferences. My research interests align well with the department's focus on. And then mention a specific area of research. And I'm eager to collaborate with faculty on projects related to. And mention a specific area of interest. I also hope to be mentoring graduate students and contributing to the development of new courses that incorporate innovative teaching methods and interdisciplinary approaches.
That's an excellent response. Okay.
You've articulated a clear vision for your future, highlighting both your research and teaching aspirations, and demonstrating your commitment to the institution.
Okay.
They might follow up by asking about specific courses you'd like to teach, research projects you'd like to pursue, or your experience mentoring students.
Now, this next question might seem a bit open-ended, but it's a valuable opportunity. Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
This is your chance to leave a lasting impression.
Okay.
It's an opportunity to highlight something unique about your qualifications or experience that you haven't had a chance to mention yet. Or to reiterate a key point you want them to remember.
So it's about thinking strategically and leaving them with a memorable takeaway.
Precisely.
Okay.
Maybe it's a passion project that demonstrates your creativity or a volunteer experience that showcases your commitment to community engagement.
Or perhaps it's a specific skill or area of expertise that aligns perfectly with the department's needs.
How do we avoid just repeating what we've already said?
Focus on highlighting something new. Or emphasizing a point that you think might resonate strongly with the committee.
For example, you could say something like this.
Okay.
In addition to my research and teaching experience, I'm also a passionate advocate for public history. I've created a website that makes historical research accessible to a wider audience. And I've presented my work at local museums and historical societies. I believe that it's crucial to engage the public in the study of history and make it relevant to their lives.
That's a fantastic example.
Okay.
You've showcased a unique aspect of your experience and demonstrated your passion for making history accessible to a broader audience. You could also use this opportunity to reiterate your enthusiasm for the position or highlight a particular skill or experience that you think makes you a strong candidate.
Okay, so we've covered a wide range of interview questions.
We have.
From your inspiration for becoming a history lecturer to your long-term goals. But before we wrap up this section on interview prep, I think it's worth revisiting how RoleCatcher's AI can give you that extra edge.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about RoleCatcher's AI analyzing job descriptions to help you tailor your application? Well, their AI goes even further than that. It can actually provide feedback on your practice interview responses.
Wait, seriously?
It is.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
Wow.
You can record yourself answering common interview questions, and RoleCatcher's AI will analyze your responses, providing personalized feedback on your content delivery and even your body language.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like having a virtual mock interview.
It is.
With expert feedback to help you refine your answers and boost your confidence.
Precisely.
So as you continue practicing your responses, keep in mind that RoleCatcher's AI can be an invaluable tool for fine-tuning your approach.
Absolutely.
And making sure you're putting your best foot forward.
Yes.
Now, I know we've talked a lot about what to say in your interview. But what about the nonverbal cues? Are there any tips RoleCatcher provides for making a good impression?
Host speaker. Beyond just your words.
Right. Are there any tips RoleCatcher provides for making a good impression beyond just your words?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's interview guide emphasizes the importance of nonverbal communication, highlighting things like maintaining eye contact, using appropriate body language.
Okay.
And projecting enthusiasm and confidence.
So even if you're interviewing virtually, you still want to make sure you're presenting yourself professionally and engagingly.
Think about it this way. Even if you're not physically in the room, your energy and presence can still be felt through the screen.
So how do we translate those nonverbal cues to a virtual setting?
RoleCatcher suggests finding a quiet, well-lit space for your interview.
Okay.
Dressing professionally, even if it's just from the waist up.
Right.
And making sure your background is clutter-free and appropriate for a professional setting.
It's also important to maintain eye contact with the camera.
Yes.
Just as you would with someone in person.
Right.
And to project your voice clearly and confidently.
And don't forget to smile.
Okay.
A genuine smile can go a long way in conveying your enthusiasm and warmth.
Okay. We've talked a lot about interview preparation.
We have.
But what about those crucial steps before you even get to the interview? RoleCatcher's Career Guide emphasizes a few key things that candidates should focus on.
One of the most important things is tailoring your CV and cover letter to the specific job description.
So it's not just about sending out a generic application.
No.
It's about highlighting the experiences and skills that are most relevant to that particular position.
Exactly. Take the time to carefully read the job description and identify the key words and phrases that stand out.
Okay.
Then make sure your CV and cover letter clearly demonstrate how your qualifications align with those requirements.
RoleCatcher's AI can really help with this, right?
Absolutely. Their AI-powered CV and cover letter builder can analyze the job description and suggest specific skills or experiences to emphasize, helping you create targeted and impactful application materials.
That's a huge time saver.
It is.
And it can really increase your chances of getting noticed in a competitive job market.
Absolutely. Another key point RoleCatcher emphasizes is networking. Attending conferences, joining professional organizations, and connecting with other historians can open doors to opportunities you might otherwise know about. It's about building relationships and expanding your professional circle.
Exactly. You never know who might have a lead on a job opening.
Right.
Or be able to offer valuable advice or mentorship.
So even if you're not actively looking for a job right now, it's still beneficial to engage with the broader historical community. And make those connections.
Absolutely. It's an investment in your future career.
Okay, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to touch on something RoleCatcher mentions in their career guide. The importance of showcasing your capabilities beyond just your CV.
Yes. This is crucial.
Okay.
Things like publications, presentations, and even a personal website or blog can really make you stand out in a competitive academic job market.
It's like building your historian's portfolio, demonstrating your initiative and commitment to the field.
Precisely so. As you continue your interview preparation,
think about how you can showcase your unique strengths and experiences in a way that captures the attention of hiring committees.
Right. We've covered a lot of ground in this part.
Yeah.
We've explored how to answer those tricky interview questions, discussed the importance of nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
And highlighted some key career advice from RoleCatcher's guides.
And we've seen how RoleCatcher's AI can be an invaluable tool throughout the job search process.
Right.
From tailoring your application to practicing your interview responses.
Now are you ready to dive into the final part of our history lecture interview deep dive?
Absolutely. I'm eager to wrap up this journey and equip you with the confidence to shine in your interview.
Great, then let's take a quick break and we're back.
Ready for the final stretch.
All right, so let's say you've made it to the very end of the interview and they hit you with this classic.
Uh-oh.
Do you have any questions for us?
Now's your time to shine.
Right, it's not just a formality.
No.
It's your chance to really show them you're interested and engaged.
It shows you've been listening.
Right, and you've been thinking.
Thinking critically.
About the position and the department.
It's also a fantastic opportunity to get some insider info.
Right, to help you decide if this is the right place for you.
Before you even get to salary negotiations.
Exactly. So come prepared with a few thoughtful questions.
Yes, ones that go beyond the basics.
Right. So instead of asking about, vacation time.
Right, or parking.
Focus on things like the department's culture.
Yes.
Research opportunities. Or maybe even the university's long-term goals.
Think big picture.
Right? So for instance, you could ask something like, what are the department's top priorities for the next 5 years?
Oh, that's a good one.
Or maybe, what kind of support do junior faculty receive for things like mentoring or grant writing?
Shows you're in it for the long haul.
Exactly. You're thinking about your future in the department.
And how you can contribute.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground today. Interview questions.
Career tips.
RoleCatcher's incredible AI.
It's a game changer.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Your passion for history.
Ah, yes. The heart of it all.
Because it's not enough to just have the knowledge and the skills.
You gotta love it.
You need that fire.
That spark.
That makes you want to share history with the world.
Exactly. And let that passion shine through in your interview.
So how do we do that?
Think about those moments that really ignited your love for history.
Those aha moments.
Yeah, share those stories.
Let them see your excitement.
Let your enthusiasm be contagious.
And don't be afraid to show a little personality.
Oh, absolutely. History's about people.
Right. It's not just dates and battles.
It's about the human experience, the triumphs and the tragedies.
So bring that human element into your answers.
Make them feel it.
Because ultimately, you're not just trying to get a job. You're trying to inspire.
To ignite that same passion in others.
To share your love of history with the next generation.
So as you prepare for your interview, remember your why.
Why does history matter to you?
Why do you want to share it with the world?
Let that be your guiding light.
And remember, RoleCatcher is there to help you every step of the way.
You've got your back.
From fine-tuning your application to practicing your interview responses.
To really nailing that interview.
So go out there, rock that interview.
Yes.
And share your passion for history with the world.
Absolutely. And thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Until next time.